Welcome to episode 8 of Riff and Chips. I'm your host, Phil Vernon, and today our guest is Bobby Pook, guitarist and vocalist of indie post-rock northerners Blanket. After spending their early career on major label Sony, Blanket signed with Church Road Records last year to release the Blue Eyes EP and latest album, Ceremonia, which departs from their signature post-rock sound and delivers a solid slab of riff-heavy indie. The band recently announced a headline tour for October 2024, where they'll head out around the UK with Delaire the Liar. Join us as we discuss the downsides of being on a major label, the glory of Tebay and Gloucester services, and how you need to get away from the seafront to discover Blackpool's prime chippy hotspots. Bobby, welcome to Riff and Chips. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's start as always with how you got into the heavy scene.
We used to have a band called When People Become Numbers that was like a grindcore band like years ago. Yeah, we played with like Narcosis and Penknife Love Life and like an early Bring the Horizon and stuff like that, like years and years ago. Probably I don't even know how many years ago, but a long time ago. And I used to tour a lot in that band, and then I joined like a pop punk band that were already touring. So that was Me Versus Hero, they were called.
Yeah.
And then toured like kind of the world with them really. And then started Blanket after that really.
Yeah, I remember People Come as Numbers really. I didn't realise you were in that band. I'm pretty sure like one of my old bands, Last Chance Dance, must have played with you because we were playing around that time. So
I definitely recognise that band name.
Yeah. So
I wish I had the stems, or I wish I just would have kept stuff because obviously like I've got better, and I just wish I could like remix those EPs. Like they sound horrible, man.
Yeah.
Like before triggers and everything, like so bad.
I've been tempted sometimes, like say my early band, like my very first kind of band or whatever. It was a band called Trepidation, and it was just absolute Darkest Hour worship. It was just straight up kind of 5, 7, 8 metalcore. Yeah, it's the same thing. Like obviously we recorded with somebody, but I've been really tempted even just to go back and just re-record the parts, because obviously I can play better as well as like mix better sort of thing, just to see how it sounds with like, you know, decent tones and like, you know, modern sounds. And
that's it, man. And like plugins, like I remember doing all that on Cubase with like we had nothing, like just stock plugins, so shit. And like I think that I don't know if I could play those songs anymore though. I definitely can't. I used to be able to play Dillinger and stuff like that, and definitely can't do that anymore.
Oh, it's a real thing. It's like the Last Chance to Dance stuff used to be much more kind of quite techie and stabby. Like I say, we loved like Dillinger and Norma Jean and stuff like that. We loved Iron Dissonance, and we just wanted to do that, but we were never good enough to play it to the level that we wanted. So we played it to a level that was fine for the riffs that we were writing. But like you say, as soon as you get out of that, I came out of that and played in a melodic hardcore band for like 5 or 6 years, and like I just lost it all.
Yeah, you do.
And then I've had to retrain myself now to play in like, you know, a kind of black metal adjacent band with lots of trem picking and totally different things.
Yeah, lots of trem picking.
So you just kind of fall out of styles.
I do remember that band for sure, because I remember, I don't know why, but I've got it in my head, like someone in our band or someone when we played with you or something was like, last chance to dance.
Yeah, there's a bit like that, yeah. Sort of that.
I don't know why though. I don't know what that was from. I don't know if someone like said it when we must have played together, because I definitely remember like someone saying that.
Well, the guitarist, because I joined a bit later on, but the guitarist I replaced, John, he used to do a lot of recording and stuff for like Penknife Love Life.
Yeah.
A guy called John Reese, so he was like really close to them and recorded them and stuff. And Dave, the singer in that band, is now the singer in 100-Year-Old Man.
Oh yeah, I filmed them not that long ago. Yeah, he was well good actually. Like the singer's well good. I love it. Do you remember Derail, that band?
Yeah.
Still got my Derail t-shirt, man.
Amazing.
Youth large. Doesn't fit me.
I literally posted this afternoon on the Riff and Chips Insta and Twitter about Breaking the Fourth Wall, the Beecher record.
So good.
How it's the best album ever put out by a UK band.
Yeah.
And I'll always stand up for that. But I remember seeing Norma Jean, Beecher and Derail at Satan's Hollow in like 2001, 2002. It was mint because there was that, and maybe like a week or two before in the same venue, I saw Converge on the Jane Doe tour.
The Attic?
No, this was...
with Beecher supporting.
The Converge show was with Nine. Do you remember that band? Like the number 9. And I think Rise and Fall as well. It was always Rise and Fall if it was Converge, but
Was that at Satan's Hollow as well, or
That was at Satan's, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I was there. I was for sure I was there, and that one that I'm on about at the attic was maybe a year or two before that, and it was tiny. The attic next to Oxford Street.
Yeah. So my first ever show with Last Chance to Dance was there actually, with the Miramar Disaster.
Cool, man.
Yeah, chatting to Slow-Mo about that when we played. He put us on in London, Cops and Hidden Mothers a couple of months back. So just everything comes full circle.
I love it, man. I love that older heavy scene. I guess it's because like that's the first thing that I experienced. I was hanging out with these guys. I was probably only like 17 then, and I was hanging out with these guys that were a bit older than me. And they introduced me to all of that, man. Took me to see Dillinger at Bradford Rios and stuff. And I was listening to like Rancid or something at the time. And like, I don't know, like Green Day or something. I was like, what is this? Well, I loved it. Changed my life.
Those sort of like US punk bands like Rancid, Green Day, so they were your foot into kind of heavier music in general. What sort of UK bands were the first ones to grab you from a more like UK point of view?
Like Beecher for sure, because I remember seeing them support Converge at that attic show. I remember them just like, that was the EP that was out before that album, I guess. That absolutely blew my head off. I know some of those bands that we used to play with, I didn't like, when it was all the tiny little tight shorts and stuff, I didn't really get any of that. Like Derail would definitely be on there. I don't know, I used to kind of like bands that like, sounds kind of stupid, but where the image was like not what you'd expect. I think that's what I liked about like Derail and stuff. Sometimes they kind of looked like, I don't know, like At the Drive-In style, like bands like kind of dressed like kind of normally. It wasn't like metal looking.
Same for Beecher.
Yeah, for sure, the same for Beecher. And I think I liked that as well. Yeah, as silly as that sounds. But I mean, even Narcosis, to be honest, like when we used to play with them, I used to absolutely like love that stuff, man. That definitely got me started. But I never used to go to shows when I was younger. I don't know why. I just used to go to shows that we used to play, really.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gone to so many. Kind of regretted it years later. Definitely had the chance to see bands like Bane and stuff that I loved.
I mean, it's weird because obviously they stopped and obviously they're back playing shows again now. They're playing Outbreak, aren't they?
Yeah, they played Outbreak this year as well.
Is it this year? Or did they play last year?
Or is it the one last year? Yeah, I think it was the one last year.
It's Have Heart this year, isn't it? And
Have Heart, yeah.
And like American
cool.
football and stuff, yeah.
I mean, there's so many bands on there that are playing like albums in full that I love. Like Nothing are playing like Guilty of Everything, and the Hotelier are playing the album.
So I'm hoping to go because I really want to see the Thursday set because I think it's a full Collapse War all the time set.
Yeah.
I really want to see Poison the Well because they're one of my favourite bands ever.
Dude,
and it's been nearly 20 years. Harm's Way. There's plenty on there to keep me occupied for a few days.
Harm's Way is the meme band, right?
Yeah. I love that band, and there's definitely enough over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep. I really want to go, but I just don't know what. You're saying, you don't know how busy or what you're going to be doing. I kind of leave it to the last minute, and then if I am free and I really want to go, then I'll sort it out. Like I'll just buy a resale ticket, or I'll sort it out in some way.
So going back to saying how you wished you'd been to a few more shows when you were younger. Obviously, Blackpool isn't really somewhere that you see on a lot of tour posters, outside of, the odd big gig at the Ballroom. Like, I know people who've been to see the White Stripes at the Ballroom or whatever and things like that. But, so how was that, local scene growing up? Was there one at all in Blackpool, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the heavy music, we definitely tried to make one, really. Like a lot of these small towns, Blackpool being one of the stranger ones, with it being such a tourist town as well. But yeah, we used to get Magpies. Do you remember Magpie?
Magpies.
Damien from man, my memory's so bad. He's in a new band that are doing really well as well. But yeah, they're like a grindcore band, a bit like Agoraphobic Nosebleed. We used to get all those bands to come play Blackpool. So we used to try and start a bit of a thing here, and then it used to work in those days, you do gig swaps, and there was Preston bands, which is 30 minutes away, obviously.
Yeah, I remember seeing a bunch of them back. I remember seeing Elias Last Day loads.
Oh, so those are the ones, man. They're the ones. We used to do gig swaps with them, and For My Anger. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I remember all those bands. Yeah, there was Ruthless as well, that were a proper beatdown band. I think it was some same members of Elias Last Day, same drummer maybe.
Yeah. Andy, the bassist, he's in a new band with Ollie, the guitarist from Elias Last Day. They're in a band now. They just started a band, I think. They're all really nice guys as well. I think some of them maybe came to watch us. Blanket did a show underneath this moon in a museum. It was a sculpture of a massive moon inside a museum.
I think I've seen it.
Luke Jerram.
Yeah, I saw it. They had it in the cathedral in Bristol, so I went to see it, yeah.
So we did a show underneath it. Like, we got this opportunity to do it. Yeah, it was cool. So yeah, they came to that as well. But yeah, that's it for Blackpool. It's sad now because there really isn't anything as negative as that sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a venue called Bootleg, which is where we just played last week, and he does well there, like getting touring bands in and playing, and there's bands from all over the world that can play there. So that's cool. But and the Waterloo Music Bar, he gets some ace stuff in there as well. That's our drummer's dad who owns that bar.
Okay, nice.
And it's really kitted out. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like the Parish in Huddersfield, but kind of
all right, nice,
but kind of better.
Okay.
So they both do great things, and people do go to them. But as far as like an actual scene where it's like a young original music is getting played, and heavy music, it's not. Yeah, it's definitely not really a thing, sadly, in Blackpool anymore. There's not that many venues there. The only two that I can think of, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like, it was similar. So I grew up in Chester, or just outside Chester. So that was kind of like, again, I was having to travel to Manchester, Liverpool, kind of Leeds for shows. But then since I kind of moved away, so it was actually a venue that it used to be basically like the Royal Mail, like working club or whatever. And that's where we used to play all like local band nights and stuff. So that Trepidation band I was telling you about. But it's funny because some of the guys that we used to play shows with their other local Chester bands, like one of them went on to being like Dragged Into Sunlight. And it's like, we all, again, this kind of weird little scene. But yeah, that actually got turned into a proper venue called the Live Rooms, I think it's called now.
We had one of our worst shows ever, was at the Live Rooms in Chester.
Yeah, so that's what I can imagine. Like, I think they tried really hard, and I noticed like they got bands. I was like, oh, cool. Like, they've got Norma Jean playing, or one of those kind of Soil Head P packages, or something like that. And, like Devin Townsend played there like last year, did like an acoustic show there and stuff.
That's crazy.
So they'll get those odd things, but then again, you see them go. But I'm not going to the shows, so I'm not sure how well attended these shows are. From what you're saying, it sounds like. I mean, I hope I'm not putting it down. Obviously, I've not lived there for a while. I'm not sure how much of a scene there is for like bands like that to go there. Like, there'll be people that like them for sure. They would have travelled to Liverpool, and it's cool that they're trying to get them. But then, is there enough people to justify putting on a band like that at a 300 cap venue or something in a town like Chester? And that's what's hard, yeah.
And even Liverpool, man, it's like so strange. I think it's such a cool city, and I always prefer going there, to be honest, rather than Manchester. But I think because it's out of the way, like touring bands, we once played there with Story So Far, Every Time I Die, and someone else that was massive in Academy, and it wasn't even that well attended because it's Liverpool, and it's kind of like people, you really have to travel too. You're not going through Liverpool for anything, are you? It's like Blackpool, it's like over there,
Yeah.
So I always found that weird about Liverpool, but I love it. And I've had some ace gigs in tiny venues there as well, like years ago and stuff.
So if you remember, there used to be a venue there called Roadkill. That was one of those places where I played to no paying people. That was the last chance to dance show.
Was it just vocal PA, or was it
I can't remember. That wouldn't surprise me, but it was quite a big sort of gaff, which made it even worse.
Oh, yeah.
But it was us and another band from Manchester called Profane that were really good. And, one of those is in 100-Year-Old Man now, and Luke's doing A Son of Missa. So like people have all gone on to do other things. But yeah, we played to each other in that venue.
Love it.
You signed with Church Records last year, and your first release with them was the Blue Eyes EP.
Yeah.
Which kind of, as well as a couple of new songs, also featured a few covers of songs like Radiohead, Post Malone. So obviously a band with 4 members, there's a lot of potential influences and opinions. How did you decide on those songs in particular?
At the start of practices, we just jam some stuff. And I think when we're writing, we sometimes jam some stuff. And that's just what happened. I mean, me and Simon are massive Radiohead fans anyway. Well, massive OK Computer fans. Blue Eyes was like a single, basically. And obviously that was turned into an EP with a few covers thrown in. And that was like an introductory thing to Church Road to see to kind of gauge like what it'd be like. And, that was like first meeting Justine and Sammy. And that was also, we'd have been going in to record the new album Ceremonia about then. So we had meetings with them about that. So it was kind of a way of getting new music out finally after being signed to Sony and getting something out, because we were, sat on so much music for so long that it was great to just have that freedom with Church Road. And, like we send artwork and everything, and it's like, yeah, this is great, instead of like, can you change this?
Well, that's one thing. It's literally one of the things I've got down to ask here. And I was going to say, how does working, like, obviously, I've got experience with Church Road through Cops and stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously Sammy and Justine are great. Like, it's so relaxed. So I was going to ask, how does working with a smaller kind of indie label like Church compare with being on like because was it Music for Nations you were on?
Yeah.
Which is obviously like a sub of Sony or whatever, but essentially it's a major label. Like, so it must be quite different in terms of dynamic.
Everything was done, even though it's Music for Nations, everything was done like through Sony channels, really. I'm sure it is quite different than being signed to Sony's main major, but everything had to be done through their people. So it's so different, man. Like, there were so many different people that needed and wanted different things. And obviously, you're kind of bottom of the pile as a small band. We were kind of lucky to be signed to a major, really. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were only been a band for a few months, so we were like, okay, I guess we'll sign to Sony then. We all much prefer it. Like, I guess you could say that the financial side of things is different. Indie labels not having an advance as such, but an advance is basically just a loan anyway. So
yeah, and it comes with caveats, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we released an album on Sony, and it just kind of, obviously we had these big ideas like, oh, this is going to be huge. They're going to get it synced. They got Sony PlayStation and Spotify's in a nearby office, and it's like, yeah, this is going to be great. It's going to get playlisted. We're going to be on syncs, everything, and we got basically absolutely nothing. So I guess I wouldn't blame that on them. It's like there's so many bands out there that like it's hard to break through. But the difference being that as soon as we went on Church Road, I mean, Justine was doing all the press in-house, and it was amazing, like what she managed to get in terms of press. And it's amazing also how they managed to get us playlisted on like nearly every single song we've released has been playlisted, and on some massive playlists. And that's one of them things as well. It's a grey area, I guess, because Spotify aren't really known for paying the artists very well. But I guess the way I see it is it's definitely reaching people that wouldn't have heard of us otherwise, who then hopefully will want to see you live and buy merch and all that. So it's
100%. It definitely serves its purpose. I think back in the day we had to gamble so much on music. It could be a band that you love, and the only chance you had to hear it really was you either heard a single that they may have put a video out for on MTV2 or Kerrang or something, or you just literally either read a review or blindly went to the shop, bought it on CD, and you might have got home and it could be shit and you could have wasted a tenner. So I think having that opportunity to listen to something before you buy it, you could argue that with less people taking gambles, then less, the bands are not making as much money because it's only people that like it that are buying it. But I think the things that it does for bands in terms of it gets you in front of people that, unless you were out constantly on the road playing with people, it's not going to do.
No.
With Church, they got our singles. And obviously we're kind of nowhere near as, for quote unquote radio friendly as some of the Blanket stuff. They still managed to get us on things like Kerrang playlists and like the Not Fest playlist, the metal specific ones and stuff. And we're just a pretty small band. Second EP put out a song and they were willing to take a punt and stuff. And the plays that you get off the back of it.
But it's amazing, right? But that's totally amazing.
And even the opportunity to be on things like festival playlists, the Arctangent playlist was huge for us. Like the spike in plays that we got off the back of that. And I know it benefits them as well because it justified them putting us on, because they took a real punt putting us on that festival last year. It was like our 5th ever show or something,
Yeah, but I bet that crowd loved you.
And that's the thing, we always knew we'd be right for it and we always wanted to play it. But I think obviously being on that playlist, the amount of people that were on like on Facebook, on the Arctangent forums, because we've been going as fans for years, and it was quite interesting seeing people on there being like, oh, just been catching up on bands I don't know on the playlist, and I like the sound of these, and then that translates to the tent being 3/4 full at 11 o'clock in the morning. So we
had the same thing first time we played Arctangent, and I think this is the thing. It's like it's generating actual fans. Like that's the thing with these Spotify playlists as well. It's like I'm realistic in the fact that I know we didn't used to have any fans. Like even when we were on Sony, we had no fans. Someone would recommend that we put on like a headline show, and literally like no one would come. And I kind of knew that was going to happen, but we were kind of listening to people being like, yeah, I guess this is what we'll do then. But since then, and playlists and just keeping going as well, and being lucky enough to get on some great tours and some big tours for us. Like, I mean, even Zealanado, even though it doesn't really fit musically, and Better Lovers, even though it doesn't fit musically.
I remember when I saw you get announced for that, I was so stoked for you, but I was like, that's a crazy, like,
so weird.
It's a crazy pairing for a tour, but also cool.
So weird. Well, cool, and like, do you know what I always think with like heavy bands is like, I mean, maybe people do. I would rather go watch a bit of like an eclectic lineup rather than
100%.
just, if it was heavy, I wouldn't want to watch 4 bands of blast beats. I'd want to watch a band of blast beats and then a band of like shoegaze, that heavy stuff and slow stuff, like a bit of a mix. So yeah, it was cool. I mean, yeah, we were really lucky to be on some of those tours, and yeah, it's been crazy. Like I'm loving how this new thing is working, and I chat to Justine all the time on emails and Instagram and stuff, and we've had some like industry people reach out because of this new album as well. So it's an exciting time, and I definitely much prefer the way things are now. If Blanket blew up and we got offered, you know, major deals again or something, I would definitely have to kind of think about it maybe, and like kind of chat to everyone and see what was right.
So going back to Ceremonia there, obviously, so that came out last month, which for anyone playing catch up, that was March 24. A little bit of a sidestep away from, I guess, your post-rock roots that you might have been associated with earlier, a bit more of a lean into kind of like riff heavy, almost like indie. Was that change of direction kind of purposeful? How did it come about?
Well, I'm glad you said indie, because that was kind of what I wanted. I definitely borrowed vocal melody ideas off like 90s indie Britpop stuff, but
I was going to say you can definitely hear some like Britpop kind of influence in there.
I like that.
100%,
I mean, that's what I wanted, and I just thought I can't really remember anyone doing that but heavy or using those melodies. The one that got me thinking about it was that Genghis Tron album, because the vocal melodies on that album, that Dream Weapon and stuff, is like it just reminded me of like Seahorses and Oasis and stuff, and I was like, this is crazy hearing those melodies over context of like really heavy music. So not that ours is really heavy, but yeah, it just happened, man. Like, I think with the album before Ceremony and Modern Escapism, I was like Deftones obsessed, which I always have been anyway. But I thought maybe I'll sort of lean into that a bit more with that album. And then it's just gone that way. Like, we've always played like Jazz Masters and stuff like that. And we just kind of, I think me and Simon, the guitarists, I think we like really nice chord progressions and melodies that are then made a bit horrible, which is what I feel like a lot of shoegaze is like really pleasing chord progressions, but with kind of off-kilter notes in there, and like you know, a lot of like chorus warbling through it and all this stuff. So that's kind of how it went, man, and like how it came about. And I love it. I love Ceremony. I think it's great.
Like you say, it's one of the first things that does hit you, those kind of like Britpop vocal melodies, and talking about that kind of like heavier riff indie. You know, obviously you had some indie bands that would guess a class more, they always call them more indie rock if there was a little bit more kind of grit or edge to them maybe. But I always thought, just imagine taking any straight up 90s indie band, could be Oasis, Blur, you know, any of the big ones or whatever, Suede. Imagine taking any of those bands and putting in just like double kicks in parts and stuff like that. Because obviously they never did it, you know, just doing exactly the same as it is. I'm not saying like throw chugs in, keep the same tones, the same sort of melodies. But just in certain parts, just having some like, because, you know, that's one thing about, I guess, 90s indie, you know, drum patterns and things like that were never the most exciting. It was all about the guitars and the vocals.
Yeah, it was.
But like, I was like, imagine just having like a really good drummer that was maybe cool with his feet and throwing in some really cool stuff like on top of some of that. It would have kind of totally changed it again. And even now, no one's really kind of done that since.
No, I think it could be amazing. Like, I think if someone proper went into it, like even more than we have, I think it could be so good. And I think it's really hard to be heavy without chugs, and I can't I don't really want like the metal chug in any of our stuff, and Jazz Masters don't really chug, ours don't.
No.
So it's like trying to get a different sort of heaviness. We tune down, but it's more with textures and like, I guess like synths as well and stuff like that. And Lucas's drumming is a very heavy hitter. And all the ceremonia is no drum triggers, no sampler replacements, not a lot at all vocal tuning, which you can hear. But we had that before. We had a very polished sound to albums before that. Heavy, but like very nice sounding. And I just thought it'd be cool to do an album that was a bit more raw, really, and a bit more like band in a room. Heavy.
So I don't know if you've already had your tea or not, or if you're planning on eating after this, but it's time to get hungry regardless.
Let's go.
We're about to drop the fryers and get ready for some. Yeah, it's time for chippy chat. I've got some disco lines. This
I know, is this because of this?
I don't know, maybe. Was that some sort of auto thing?
I loved it.
Like, no one can see that. So we're on video here, no one else can see it. But as I started playing that then, I've never seen it before, but Bobby's screen started doing disco lights. It was amazing.
Lasers.
Being from the seaside, you must have an absolute plethora of chippies to choose from. Which one are you taking me to?
I'll take you to the number 3 chippy, which is literally just there.
All right, okay, perfect.
And it is a classic Blackpool, older women with that sort of grey hair with like the yellow in it. You know, the kind of chip fat fryers really dyed that hair. They got the bingo wings going.
Still quite old school in the decor as well, like kind of 70s, 80s decor.
Cash only, mate, cash only.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it's always a good sign.
There's so many good ones like that in Blackpool.
And these aren't on the front, I assume. These are in town. Or...
The ones on the front, it suck, man. They're terrible.
Tourist traps, awful quality. But you know, you go away from that and like into these more slightly more like rural areas, and like there's some absolutely amazing ones, and it's still a cheap alternative as well, and a really like. Me and my mates always like laugh because they always basically every single chippy in Blackpool they'll go bottle of. Like, do you want butter on your balm or whatever? Are you having butter of? Amazing.
And like that's a proper thing. I'll take you there.
Amazing. This sounds great already. I'm into it. Obviously, we're having chips. What are the portions like there? Do you have to go large, or can you get a regular and you're going to be filled?
Me and my girlfriend share a normal, I think, size. Yeah, it's insane.
Good.
I think if you got a large and something else with it, I think it'd be way too much for a human being.
From the description that you gave of the chippy and the staff that are in there, I would walk in knowing. Sometimes you walk into somewhere and you don't even need to have a look to see what other people are getting. You walk in, it's like, I know full well I'm going to get fed in this gaff.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like, they have some mental stuff in there as well. I think they have deep fried jam sandwich or something. Probably in the same stuff as the fish gets fried.
Yeah. They're not fussy about whether you're gluten free or anything in chippies like that. You just get what you get.
I understand that. I mean, my girlfriend's vegan as well, so when I go, I get whatever I'm getting, and then I get her like a chip balm. But I'm like, oh, no butter on the balm, please, because she's vegan. And it's like, I might as well not say the vegan bit because they won't understand.
No, it means nothing. What do you have with your chips then? What's your main?
I change it up, man. Sometimes I get like just a straight up sauce with curry sauce.
Yeah. Or
sometimes I get like, reminds me of a kid getting steak and kidney pudding, like a babby's head.
Yeah.
Perfect. But they're kind of just a bit sketchy. Like sometimes you eat like a steak and kidney pudding, you get that little bit of intestine or whatever's in it, that little bit of like, that little straggle.
Yeah.
Maybe just straight up fish chips, mushy peas, loads of salt and vinegar. That's like that. I reckon that's my go-to.
It's a classic, isn't it?
Yeah.
With the fish, do you go cod or do you mix it up? Are you a haddock man?
I can't even think in there if they like give you the option.
It just says fish. Because sometimes when they say that,
white fish.
And that's why sometimes I'll ask if they don't say, because as much as it sounds posh and you have the alternative, I do like a cod, I like a go-to. Sometimes they'll give you pollock and you won't know the difference. Obviously, haddock has a more meatier texture, a bit of a meatier taste sort of thing. But sometimes when you just, on the haddock it is a bit sometimes.
I think I've had that at a different place in Blackpool then. There's one there's like a fancier one that you can go to where I think Bill Clinton went there once or something with Kevin Spacey. That happened. Yeah, in Blackpool. But I had one there once and that was kind of chewy, so maybe that was haddock, yeah.
Yeah, haddock. Maybe chewy, maybe that was more how it was called, but it's definitely a meatier fish. But pollock and cod are pretty hard to distinguish between. It's normally, when you get like fish fingers from like the supermarket or something, and you have the ones that specifically say like codfish fingers, and then you have the ones that don't. Like the ones that don't are generally normally like pollock. That's like the cheaper one.
Quid for 12.
Yeah. And there's loads, I think, pollocks, I think, compared to cods, there's obviously loads of them because cod's obviously been fished to fuck. So
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you, if a pollock walked past the street, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what it was. But
Yeah,
by
I
the
don't know
sounds
what a
of
pollock
things,
looks like.
yeah, the fact that it's cheaper and it's an alternative to it makes me think there must be millions of the things.
Yeah, defo.
So you said loads of salt and vinegar. So do you kind of specify anything to the ladies behind the counter? Or do you trust them? Could you just say, loads of salt and vinegar? Or
Sometimes we just put more on back at home. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Would you ever, or have you ever got a pickled egg?
A pickled egg at a chippy?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever bought one from a chippy. I've had one in the past, and I don't mind them. I quite like them.
They always have them here, like a big jar of old pickled eggs and pickled onions. Like they've always got them here, and I always think, I never see anyone eat one of those.
Yeah, there's certain ones like that. Like they offer a lot of stuff. So our local chippy, the really good one around the corner, has quite a real good mix of stuff in there. Classic old school chippy fare, but they do like Scotch eggs as well, which I've never really seen at a lot of chippies.
That's banging, though. Love that.
Yeah. And I keep meaning to try one. Maybe that's a little thing I can get on the side one day or something to eat while I'm waiting for my chips. But they usually have one or two in the counter. But I've always been kind of tempted by a chippy Scotch egg because I do like a Scotch egg.
Defo, man.
You're kind of in the catchment area for Tebay services. So when it comes to Scotch eggs, you've got a good purveyor.
Yeah, for sure. We had Christmas dinner there once because we were in a band that played like covers at Butlins and stuff on the weekend.
Oh, nice.
So we had our Christmas dinner there. It was kind of depressing actually, and it's so expensive at Tebay. But it was pretty good to be.
Yeah, we've got Gloucester by us, which is basically the same thing.
Oh yeah, I've been there a fair few times. Service station connoisseur.
Yeah, it feels like that's the thing with being in a band, isn't it? You get to know all the good ones.
Yeah,
but yeah. Gloucester feels like you're going into like the Teletubby house or something because it's like built into a hill.
Oh yeah, I know the one. It's well good.
There's not many services that have a full butcher's and bakery and stuff like that, but this gaff does. But has all the really good Scotch eggs, really good pies, and then just loads of really cool like local produce and stuff.
Love it.
So you said mushy peas you get. You also made a mention to curry sauce. You said sometimes you might get if you get a sausage.
If I got a sausage, I'd get a curry sauce, but definitely just pretty plain with like fish chips, mushy peas, loads of salt and vinegar. That's it for me. If it is that, if it was sausage, definitely curry sauce, and not the one with the little raisins in and stuff. I'm not having that.
Not the fruity curry.
No way.
Does that local chippy? Does it give you different options for curry, or do they just have curry?
Two. Fruity and I can't remember what they call the other one. Not normal.
Just normal, yeah.
Yeah,
somewhere they'll say fruity, sometimes they'll say Chinese curry. Really good local chippy around the corner from my wife's parents. They have like three. So I think it's like a fruity curry, a Chinese curry, and then like an Irish curry, I think. Got a few people lined up that are Irish to chat to about chippies because that's a whole different thing. They have obviously spice bags and there's all sorts of good stuff to talk about for Irish chippies.
Plenty of them in Blackpool, loads of spice in Blackpool.
Yeah, no shortage of spice bags.
Yeah.
Do you get a can of pop on the chippy?
Yeah, cherry Coke every time, mate.
Cherry Coke,
I think is the best. Or I would maybe go like Dr. Pepper or something a bit more mad, but cherry Coke, I think with the chippy is just the ultimate. Like either that or just a normal red Coke straight up.
I'm a big fan of cherry Coke, cherry drinks in general. I also really like that raspberry Pepsi Max they've started doing over the past couple of years. I'm quite into that. It tastes like raspberry 99 cornet sauce, but just in Coke. It's like super artificial raspberry.
Love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. But one cherry drink that I really miss from the 90s that I don't think you do anymore, I've not seen for years, was cherry 7-Up.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, for sure.
So good.
If they did it now, it'd be zero, wouldn't it? If they did it now.
Yeah, I've got no issue with that. I mean, I drink loads of pop. Like, I'm literally got 7-Up Zero as we speak. Like,
nice.
Because I'm like, drink loads of pop, I have to try and do it in the healthiest way I can. So zero pop, no sugar, to stop rotting my teeth out my head is the only way I can kind of do it.
Do you love the Coke Freestyle machines, though? Because they are the best.
So I love it when you go to somewhere like a Five Guys and you can pick, because one of my favourite soft drinks is Mezzo Mix.
Oh, yeah.
Which obviously you can only really get in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Pepsi version called like Schwiff Schwaff or something like that. They've both got one, yeah. So I like it when you go, because sometimes they have it on there as a selection and it's the only place you can get it. Or as an alternative, you can just mix kind of like Fanta and Coke and kind of get a similar sort of thing. Or just press Coke and press orange or whatever.
Man, I just go like strawberry Sprite with a bit of peach in there or something. It's so good. And it has that high fructose syrup taste to it that you get in America where it sort of hurts a little bit as you're drinking it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, some of those sodas, I remember staying in Boston about 15 years ago, and we were staying at like a YMCA because it was like quite a cheap hostel. And when you went downstairs for like a breakfast buffet, they had like, like draft soda machines or whatever you want to call it. And they had one on there, and I don't know what it is. It's just it's probably like a famous brand, but it's literally just like some sort of mixed fruit soda. And it's just pure sugar. Like, it was kind of like an absolutely insane, you couldn't tell what it was. Like Fanta Fruit Twist. I always say it tastes like nothing but everything at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was kind of like that, but imagine taking like maybe a shot of it and then having like 50-50 with sugar. I don't know, I don't know what it was. It was like some sort of fruit punch drink or something.
Sounds kind of amazing. You're right on the fruit twist as well. It's like, what is that flavour? It's just, I think that is a good explanation. Everything and nothing all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's funny because every now and again, Fanta do a thing, like, they seem to do it maybe once a year where they release a drink and they don't tell you what the flavour is. And it's the whole thing is that you buy it and you have to try and guess what it is. It's like a competition. Yeah. It's like fruit twists that for me. Like every time I drink it, like I'm not got a fucking clue what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like Tizer or Iron Brew. It doesn't have a flavour. Coke even to a point. Like Coke, what's the flavour? The flavour is Coke, isn't it? Like no one knows what the fuck's in it.
Dude, I've not had Tizer for years. I don't even know if they still sell it anywhere, but I used to love a Tizer.
Something shouldn't be that colour when you pour it out, and I think that's why cans aren't see-through.
You can get the good Iron Brew here as well, because a lot of Blackpool is like very Scottish as well. So you can get the proper old school Iron Brew before they put the laws on the sugar amount in it and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I remember, wasn't there a huge big thing up in Scotland for it, and people were like buying it in and making sure they had like stock to the old one and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, it is great. Like I'm a big fan of Iron Brew. Whilst you're waiting for your fish in the fryer, do you order anything to eat on the side? Do you order a little chaser?
Nah, man. I mean, I used to get a bit of a Savoy. Is it a Savoy or a smoked sausage? The one with it's got a real like crunch to the skin of it. I think it is a Savoy. Crazy colour.
It's like a bright red usually, yeah.
Yeah, that's
like
the
a
one.
Bright red sort of skin. Yeah, a little Savoy, yeah.
Yeah, I'd grab one of them for sure.
Just to chew on while you're waiting for your fish.
An aperitif, just to cleanse the palate.
Ready for the salt and stuff that it's about to receive.
Yeah, defo.
Do they cook the fish fresh on asking, the chippy around yours, or do they normally have a few in the front?
Nah, always fresh, man. Like, it's the first thing you get asked as you go in, like, you having any fish, love? Yeah.
I like chippies that where you walk in, like, even if they don't ask, like, they're just expecting you. Because sometimes you'll walk in and you won't ask, and you get to the till and ask, and they're like, rolling their eyes, like, fuck's sake. And then other people are just walking in. Yeah. Like, there's like 40 people in the shop on a Friday evening. Someone's walking in, like, 2 card. And someone somewhere's, no one acknowledges it, but someone somewhere's taking note. And it's going in.
Or they're just like, all right, Terry, the usual, is it?
Yeah,
so
I love that.
They know they get the same thing every Friday night or whatever.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, there's something about chippies, like pubs, and probably, I mean, I'm not really a gambling man, but I imagine bookies are really pretty similar. Go characters, people that go in every day sort of thing. Everyone knows the sort of things that they like. And
British culture, innit?
The main thing we get from that is, if you're going to a Blackpool, get off the front for the chippies, get yourself back. What's the nearest one? So if you were going to visit Blackpool as a tourist, what's the most accessible chippy that you reckon's probably half decent for someone to visit?
You know what? There's one near Bootleg Social, the venue. There's one next door, Yorkshire Fisheries, which is like an old school 1930s, 40s maybe. And that's still in town, really. It's just it is off the front. But yeah, I think, like in town centre, that's pretty much the only one I can think of that's proper good. That'd be my one. If you're in Blackpool Town Centre, Yorkshire Fisheries on Topping Street, that's the one.
So yeah, that's good, because obviously a lot of people will go for like the day out or to go to the pleasure beach or whatever.
You can dine in there as well.
Oh, right, okay. That's
which is
good.
An experience, proper experience in there. If it's how I remember it, which I've not been for a fair few years, but it's like, nicotine-stained walls. I think there's maybe still ashtrays on the tables. It's like, it's proper. It's good. You
don't see it so much anymore. Like one of the chippies near us has like a couple of tables where people might sit and eat, but it's not like sometimes you go into and there'd be like quite a big chippy, you'd have like the counter bit on the right, or you'd like go in the left, or if you were sitting down, you'd proper get it on a plate and all that sort of stuff.
That's
actual,
it.
Like
that's
at a
like
table,
it is. Yeah, big old canteen at the back, like past the server and everything. Yeah, that's the one with them old school tins with the green. The price on it that comes up, they have to ring it in.
Oh, amazing.
Old school.
Sounds perfect. Next time I'm up there.
We'll do it, man. We'll do it.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I'm bang up for it. I've been saying to her, my wife's never been to Blackpool. I've been saying to her for ages that we need to go up so she can experience it and go to the pleasure beach and stuff. So yeah, at least we know what chippy to go to now. Right, now it's time to move into the section of the show where we give you the opportunity to tell us what's coming up in the world of Blanket over the next month. We call this section... So how does the rest of the year look for you and the Blanket guys?
We have the album out now, which is great. We're going to be doing another music video, and we've got a couple of features coming up in the next month, which is cool. Some press bits going out, and we have quite a lot of like festivals as well. I think we've got like Burn It Down, we've got Make a Scene Festival, we've got King's Fest, and maybe a couple of others. And we definitely have just announced our headline tour in October as well. So that's exciting. Yeah, it's just good to get the album out now. And like with our last album, it took a little bit of time for it to kind of gain traction. So I'm just excited to see if that happens again. Or like, it was a good few months afterwards, we started seeing a real like pick up on it, and kind of like influencers, wherever like Nick Nocturnal or whatever would like say something about it and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting, like that period. It's just nice to get it out, man. And like, yeah, I'm excited for the year ahead. I think that we're gonna try and get us some support tours as well. Our booking agent Joe at Atonal, he's been doing a great job. So yeah, just fingers crossed for more and more shows. We just want to get out there really and play this album to as many people as possible.
Yeah, it's nice when you're doing the headline tour, like say 6 months or so after the records come out, like you guys are. It gives people a chance to kind of really get into it and know it. You know, sometimes you'll see people do an album tour, like say the week it's out or in the run up to it coming out, or even like just after sort of thing. And it's like, it's cool, but people still don't really know it yet. It's not like, you know, you go to that and you're playing, it's that whole thing. It's like, oh, we're going to play a new song for you. And people kind of pretend they're excited, but then they don't really know it. Whereas they've got no excuse. Then you can stick half a set of new material in and people should know it by that point.
Yeah, and that's like the first time that we'll be playing, apart from the release show that we just did in Blackpool, where we played the whole album like in its entirety. That'll be the first time that we're doing that as well. So yeah, it's definitely exciting. It's kind of cool to fade out the older material a little bit as well, and kind of phase it out a little bit, and we've just finished writing our next album. Yeah, we're going in to record drums on Monday, man.
And you're taking Delay the Liar out on that tour, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, we played with them a few years ago, and they're going to be main support on that. So we're currently looking at like support bands as well for like each city. So
you're gonna have different openers in each city rather than a tour opener.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, we played with Throwaway Scene recently, and they were really nice guys, and we want to like hook up with them again, and Split Chain as well. Like they were really, like, we've known them for years. Yeah, so all these bands, if it all comes together, then that'd be great. I mean, if that headline tour is like a success, which I don't want to like think about too much anyway, because it's just like whatever. Like we've booked it and the album's out, so the rest is like in everyone else's hands. Like if people pick up on it or not, you know. I'm excited for it, and it's gonna be a good time.
Tour's always a good time. You just have to make the most of it, don't you? Whatever goes on.
Well, we're definitely staying in hotels now, regardless of if we lose money or not, because I'm literally not doing it. You'll have definitely done it because we were in similar ages of bands, and like I'm not sleeping on a student accommodation kitchen floor again. I'm just not doing it. We just try and get Airbnbs or hotels or whatever, and usually, like, if we can break even, we're happy. Like, you know.
That's all you can have. Then try and use merch to top up. Hopefully, all going well. Yeah,
I think this year is the year where the band becomes like financially like self-sustainable. So that would be great. And I think it's getting there. To be honest, it already is like heading there. That's kind of all we've wanted.
That's the thing. It's just having that money, enough money coming in to essentially record the next album. That's as long as. Yeah, that's the biggest outlay for any band, isn't it? To record, touring, you try and make sure your guarantees at least cover your van, your mileage, maybe a place for the hotel for the night, and then try and make a profit on merch. But for anyone that's not aware, bands at our level, I mean, for touring, that's all you can really hope for at our kind of level, isn't it? Then any other money that comes in, it shows how important it is to go out and buy merch from bands and check out their Bandcamps and take advantage of Bandcamp Friday, because that literally is the lifeline for the band. That's the money that's putting them in the studio for the next record. And
totally, man. Totally.
Keeping them going, yeah.
Do you know what I kind of hate is that like bands now have to be like a content creator as well as just like an artist who's making music. I saw this post the other day that was like, I dreamt of being an artist, not trying to outsmart an algorithm.
Yeah, it's a pain, isn't it?
And you can tailor it to you. Like, we're going to do like what pedals we used on the album, stuff like that. So that's stuff that we're interested in anyway, so it's fine.
That's 100%. As soon as I see any video that's to do with gear, I'll watch it.
Yeah, me too.
Another really easy thing to do, just like people doing playthroughs of stuff.
Yeah,
it's always a nice, easy content thing. Just stick up a camera, just play a song through, and people will watch it. Bobby, it's been amazing speaking to you. I'll let you get off to have your tea. Really appreciate you chatting to me. Good luck with the tour later in the year, and I'm sure I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, mate. Thank you very much. Nice to speak to you.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Take care. That was Bobby from Blanket. He took me to the number 3 chippy in Blackpool. That's its name, not its rank. And ordered normal by name but hefty by size bag of chips that he'll share with his girlfriend. A non-specified fish with mushy peas and salt and vinegar, all swilled down with a tin of cherry coke. The Riff and Chips charity t-shirt is now available to order. All proceeds will go to Bristol food-based charity The Mazzy Project. They're £15 each and have worldwide shipping. Head over to riffandchips.bandcamp.com and put in your order now. As always, I want to see your chippy teas too, so don't forget to tag us in any pics or let us know your favourite local chippy on socials using @riffandchips. Thanks to Rob Collier for providing the dive bomb, Edgar Gibbs for the screams, and Ryan Westwood for the artwork. See you in a week's time for our next episode.